If you're in Apple's ecosystem like me, should you be worried about the new C1 chip that Apple's putting in their new iPhones? So, the new iPhone 16e is the first iPhone that has Apple's own C1 cellular modem instead of a Qualcomm one. Is this chip better than the Qualcomm modems?
So there's some trade-offs. It is apparently more power efficient, but it doesn't support like the mmWave. So if somebody's getting more than a gigabit on 5G, they're not going to see that with the C1.
So this is Verizon's Ultra Wideband 5G.
Exactly.
That doesn't work on the
Doesn't work on the new iPhone 16. Yep.
The reason I'm excited about hearing Apple make their own chips is I want a cellular Mac. Am I going to get that?
No. There's a lot of excitement that finally Apple has their cell modem chips. And so now we're going to see Cell Macs. But I think Apple doesn't want to make Cell Macs.
That's interesting because I had seen Apple's chief operating officer testify that Qualcomm was making them give 5% of the value of every device with a Qualcomm chip in it to Qualcomm. And so everyone assumed that's why there's no Macs. They don't want to give 5% of a $2,000 or $4,000 Mac to Qualcomm.
Right. So they still sell cellular iPads, and there's a lot of overlap between Mac prices and iPad prices.
Yeah, they go above $1,000 for sure.
$2,600.
Really?
13-inch iPad Pro with the nice nano textured screen, $2,600. So at that point, you're right in MacBook Pro territory, and they have no problem offering those cellular as a $200 add-on. So if Apple wanted cellular MacBooks, they would have a $400 cellular option. It would be in there. So it'll be interesting if having a team inside Apple that's making these new cell modems, if that's enough of a voice to kind of drown out whatever their concern is and start selling more chips, maybe.
So you think they think everyone who has a Mac has an iPhone, which is about accurate, therefore they can just tether?
I think there's a voice inside the Mac team that says tethering your iPhone is the way to go, and who would ever want to sell in the Mac itself, get an iPhone and tether it? Exactly. I know. I think if they wanted it, it would exist, and it doesn't. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, if this chip is so awesome, why is it only on the 16E? I mean, they've got lots of phones, and only the lowest end one has it.
So making radio chips is really tough, especially starting up new processes. I mean, obviously they have excellent relationships with foundries, but anytime you're rolling out a new family of chips, and radio is really weird by itself, it's really tough. And so looking at forecasting and saying, okay, this is how many working chips we think we'll be able to make in this quarter, this quarter, and this quarter, they needed to find a product slot that lined up with that. And the 16E was it. So in the past, what they did was they kind of mixed. So you could buy like an iPhone and you roll the dice if you got an Intel chip or the Qualcomm chip. And there was a whole thing of, oh, you don't want the Intel one. Here's how to check it. If it's Intel,
then it's actually slower.
It's a little different, yeah. And so they don't want that. They don't want somebody buying an iPhone 16 Pro and they find out that it has the Apple chip that doesn't do millimeter wave. Like they just couldn't do that.
Right.
That's why it's landed in the 16E. The quantity is low enough that they felt good that they could hit that mark with working chips this year.
So I assume the chip just has one actual modem on it, right? People are asking us all the time, oh, it's got two SIM cards. Can I use both at once? We have to tell them, no, there's only one modem. This is just a single modem thing.
Yes, single modem. So in the 5G standard, there's a whole lot of weird things like dual SIM, dual standby, dual active. It's one modem, one radio.
Right. Because people are always surprised that they've got a phone, two SIM cards, and it turns out it only uses one at a time. Sometimes it switches back and forth so fast that it feels like it's on both.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's a real disappointment to a lot of people who want to bond those two together with Speedify to get to full speed.
Yeah. You can receive calls on one and use data on the other. That's about all you can do.
So I saw someone saying that the Apple C1 chip is actually faster than the Qualcomm. Is that true?
So Ookla, the people behind speedtest.net, looked at the data by device, and it seems like if you're on a fast network, then the Qualcomm chip is actually faster. And I think a lot of that comes from supporting millimeter wave.
Support, yeah.
Yep. And if you're on a slow network, it seems like the C1 maybe outperforms. There might be better performance at like low signal strength than the Qualcomm chip.
All right, that's good. I mean, it also definitely uses less power than the Qualcomm, right?
That seems to be true, yeah.
Good for battery life, right?
Yeah.
If you like tech conversations like this, subscribe for more.